Hey everybody, so I want to bring you into my process here. So I'm creating the Hydroverse, our new global system based on eating only fruits. And I honestly don't think it's going to work within the box of a country or the USA. But I was just kind of doing a thought experiment of like what would be the most closest thing to actually making that be in existence by integrating with the laws and regulations of our country. And so I was thinking, you know how Elon Musk is making that, what is that, Capri or what's that, Corpus Christi? Is that the city that the SpaceX stuff is on? Anyway, so also I was thinking about like the Amish and how they live. And I was thinking about if you're turning a settlement into a town, say I bought 100 acres of land, I divided that up to 300 different properties, and then I think the number is about 300, that in order to qualify to be a town, you would have to have 300. So that's, don't quote me on that, but I think that's it. And then so I asked AI about what the government would require for us to be a town. And then I started to think about why even become a town, right? What's the purpose? Like a lot of people have libertarian ideals, which is you just want to own land, grow your own food, have your own family, and be relatively self-sufficient. That's what I think a lot of people today would rather have that than chase the corporate ladder in a large city. But it's just not plausible or feasible to become successful in that way today. And so, what would be the purpose of this town if it's not going to become some economic powerhouse, right? And so the purpose would be based off of like permaculturalism. It'd be based off of self-sustainability and those basic ideals of the average nuclear family or human that wants to live in our country today. And so, but it would be with my vision, the Hydroverse. So I'm thinking, could this actually exist in our current reality? And so I'd have to do compromising. And so here's what AI said. AI said that the government would absolutely have to require fire, police, some sort of dealing with garbage, some sort of dealing with water and plumbing. And it would have to have some type of government formation. It would have to have a mayor, perhaps some treasury, like someone that handles the finances. And I think there was one more, but just, the bare bones. I think there's only 3 positions that would have to be held in the government, and like some kind of city council to delegate the votes between the community, because the community would have to vote to actually approve of these things and approve of any changes. So that you'd have to be able to moderate ballots and votes between the community, because the community, each individual property would have to pay property taxes. And these taxes would go towards, if you didn't know, it's new to me, these taxes, part of the state taxes actually go towards the city that people own their homes in and stuff. So you're actually voting with your property tax dollars. And so it actually has to be a vote. Apparently, I'm sure it's heavily significantly rigged and top down, all this influential stuff that confiscates it all. But basically, these are the things, the essentials. So let's tackle these. Garbage disposal. Well, the basis of this city, this town, we have to differentiate. A city's a large town, so it's not a town. It wouldn't be a city. A city's like Minneapolis. That's a city. A town is like a very small place. Like New Ulm. I don't know, just whatever. I'm trying to think of a town that everybody could think of. A small town. Roswell, New Mexico. All right. So let's tackle this. It would have to have garbage, but the thing is, it would be based off of permaculture. It'd be based off of self-sustainability. So there's places like in Arizona, like Prescott, Arizona, and Pima County, that there's a lot of relaxed laws. The thing that sucks so bad in this country is that the laws are very strict in almost the entire country. There's only a few places like South Dakota, New Mexico, parts of maybe Arkansas, and maybe a little bit of California, rural California. But other than that, like Arizona is a very thriving spot for that. And Oklahoma, I think Oklahoma. There's a couple other places that are somewhat, but these are the main places. And so in Pima County, Arizona, you can use composting toilets. You can collect your own rainwater. So there we have the garbage and plumbing and water accounted for. So we don't have to have that as a public system. And then also the I suppose mail would have to be, I don't know if they require mail, but anyways, fire and police. So I guess we would have like one fire truck just to meet the basic regulations. I'd say garbage too, because obviously there's going to be some material stuff. It's not going to be completely organic. We live in a society that's based off of materialism. Some things are kind of required in this modern day and age to be materialistic, that don't decompose in the organic soil. So we'd have maybe one garbage truck and like one dump site, and then like one police car. And maybe that would be, maybe, I don't know if they require the larger, say our town kept expanding, would they require 2 fire trucks, 2 police cars? But then the thing, my next question is, we're already at 7 minutes here. I got 3 more minutes to do this because there's 10-minute limit. So I want to ask about the fire and police, because I believe in anarchism. Obviously, the government's not going to allow an anarchistic town to exist. So it'd have to be, at least we could compromise to be libertarian perhaps. And so what I want to find out, the fire is just there to help you. That's not really anything about tyranny or nothing like that. So the fire, like 1 fire truck would be plenty, right? But then we'd have to have we'd have to have like probably like fire hydrants. That's where it could get tricky, because then you have to have plumbing. Then you'd have to have city sewers and stuff, I think. And so I want to see it here. Does a basic town starting their own fire department, like with the bare minimum, does this require that we have fire hydrants, or can we go without fire hydrants? Is the only thing that's required to at least have some fire department is at least just 1 fire truck and 1 fire employee? Would that be sufficient enough, or do they require more?
The need for fire hydrants depends on a few things. If your town has a central water system, hydrants would likely be required for firefighting. But if everyone's on their own water supply, you might be able to use water tanks on the fire truck instead. You'd still need a fire truck and trained personnel either way.
So just 1 fire truck, 1 fire employee, that would be good enough if we have our own water?
I understand you'd prefer to have just 1 fire truck and 1 firefighter, but regulations usually require more than that. You'd likely need a few firefighters on duty at all times, and possibly some backup equipment. It might be worth checking local regulations to see the minimum requirements.
Okay, and what about police? So we have anarchistic or libertarian ideals. So what would be the regulations for a police department? What would be the bare minimum that we could get away with?
In a town with anarchistic or libertarian ideals, the police force would likely be minimal, focusing on things like traffic control and resolving disputes. It might be possible to have a small, community-led force, but there would still be regulations to ensure accountability and prevent abuse of power.
Name specific laws that would have to exist.
For policing, you'd likely need laws covering things like use of force, arrest procedures, search and seizure, and rules around evidence collection.
Let me know if you want part 2, everyone. There's a lot more I could say about this.